Hello, tubers, tubettes, and crazy people. I actually took that from another YouTuber that I really like. I think it's funny. So I'll be borrowing that. I'm on my way to the office. I've got to go pick up my check. It's a Friday. I have spent like hours trying to load 2 videos up on my YouTube channel and try to load a third one up, and it said it's going to take 60 minutes, and I'm like, what in the heck is taking 60 minutes? But I was working on it for about an hour and a half, and I think I am going to create some videos on how to build a YouTube channel with absolutely no idea and no ability to learn. That would be a really good one for me, because I'll tell you, it's not as easy as it looks, so I'm getting through it, I'm gonna get through it. I'm not gonna stop. So my video this morning, is about something I've thought about, and I've used it in my life for years and years and years, and I've used it in my life, I've used it with other people, and I've used it with my family and my wife. So I think it's very valuable. I mean, it is to me. Hopefully you guys will think so too, or you might think, well, it's really obvious, Dave. And I wanted to tell you a couple stories, and then my last story is going to be a story about my dad and my mom, and just the way he used to say things. Okay, so what my saying is, I'm like a motto, is that you can get everything you want in life if you help other people get what they want. Now, obviously, from a sales perspective, what people want, you have to really be focused as to know, what do they want? Usually people are not going to say, or you're not going to get the idea that they want a swimming pool. That's not what they want. If you just say, well, yeah, I've got a swimming pool, I can build one for you, and this guy has a swimming pool that they build, and this is another builder that builds it, you're not going to sell very many pools. You really have to find out why. Why do they want a swimming pool? And it's a bunch of different reasons. There's all kinds of reasons as to why people want to have something. So in trying to help them help themselves, you have to look at what's really their driving motivation. If they say that it's because they want to have a place for their children to swim, that's usually meaning that they want to have their family closer together. They don't want people all over the place, so you gear your presentation for that. If they're talking about that this has been a dream for them, to just be able to lay in their pool and float around, then you gear it toward that. If they say they're really into exercise, or they're training for a marathon or something, you gear it for that. So what you're trying to do is you can get everything you want in life if you help other people get what they want. The crazy thing about sales is that people are calling you. They are saying, I want this, please come over. And some salesmen, they just don't get it. When I first started out, I was pretty bad. I had my degree in economics, and so I think I was smart, book smart. But in terms of people, I wasn't super smart about that, maybe common sense. So I remember there was a guy, and he worked for the railroad. He was a mechanic for those big locomotives. And I had worked for another company back then called Perryville Pools. And I remember he was one of my first people I ever met with. And it was interesting because about midway through my presentation, he said, okay, Dave, that sounds good. Go ahead and sign me up. And I said, oh, I can sign you up, but I have just a couple more things that I need to go through. And he goes, I had a really long day. He goes, Dave, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have to be at work at 5 o'clock. And I'm just really tired, here at 6, 7 o'clock. And so I said, well, I'm almost there. I just have a couple more things I wanted to, let you know. So I did what's called talking past the close. And so I kept talking. I mean, I was new to sales, so I had my presentation book and brochures of pump, literature on pumps and on filters. It was laid out all over the table. And in about 15-20 minutes after he had already told me he was ready to sign up, he told me again, Dave, is there any way that you could sign me up, because I'm actually falling asleep now? And I said, yes, I do want to sign you up, and I'm almost there, but I'm getting to the good part. So I just kept talking. They call it talking past the close. And so I could tell he was a little frustrated, but I had to get my information out there. I mean, I had studied, I memorized it, I had it all laid out, and I needed to get to the end of it. So as I was going through it, he suddenly, he kind of dipped a couple of times that he was falling asleep, but he suddenly just got up, he walked over to the light, he flipped it off, and then he went upstairs, I guess to go to bed. And I was sitting there in his kitchen in the dark all by myself. So I didn't know what to do. I thought, okay, well, I'll just pack all my stuff up, and then I guess I'll just kind of lock the door on my way out. So that's exactly what I did. The next day when I called him, he said, yeah, sorry about that, Dave. He goes, I was just too tired. And I said, well, you said that you wanted to get a pool. And he goes, are you going to be able to come up here and sign me up, without any more information? He goes, I have more than enough information. And I said, yes, I will. So that was the thing that he wanted, and I was keeping it from him. So that's why it's important, to remember that you can get everything you want in life if you help other people get what they want. And so when I went back out there, I signed them up. We didn't go through any extra things, and I learned right away, don't talk past the close. When they say they're ready to buy, you need to be ready to sign them up. The second thing is that you can get everything you want if you help other people get what they want. Now, you wouldn't think that it would make a difference, like with a waitress, what they want, or even might not even have feelings about it. But a lot of times, they are having a hard time. It's not a great job. It's listening to a lot of people complain. And so what I always do is whenever I go, we were at DJ's last night getting a dinner, my wife and I always like to talk to the waitress, not in a creepy way, but I always like to say, they say, well, how's your day going? And I said, yeah, we're doing really good. How is your day going? Is it super busy today? And then it's really weird because they'll just completely change and say, you know what, I appreciate you asking. And they'll tell me, how busy it was or when they got on and how long things are done. And so we actually have people at different restaurants that know my wife and I, just because we're trying to be nice to them. And so we were looking at the bill at the very end, and it was like a little bit higher than it normally is. And that my wife said, well, that's because the other waitress that we were talking to, she wasn't our waitress last night, she always gives our drinks for free. Just as like a little thing. I had no idea she was doing it, but it was just a little thing that she was doing for us, probably because we were really nice to her, cared about her. So it does not hurt, to be nice to people around you, especially in the service industry. The last thing I want to talk about was my dad and my mom. Again, you can get everything you want in life if you help others get what they want. I guess the end of the story that you may not know is my mom and dad did eventually get a divorce. And but prior to it, when I was young, I remember my mom going to beauty school. She's a little Japanese lady, and she came home one night, and I guess somebody had dyed her hair all red. It was shocking, because I'd never seen my mom with red hair, much less she's a 4'11" Japanese lady with red hair. So when she came in, all of us kids were shocked, and she asked me, well, what do you think, Dave? And I say, well, do you like it? And she goes, I love it. And I go, well, if you love it, I love it. It's great. If it makes you happy, that's the most important thing, right? And then she asked my dad, he was sitting at the dining table, well, what do you think about my hair? And he said, it looks like hell. He said, you look like a hooker. I was like, oh my God. So, my dad was really a great instructor for me. And I've said this many times to my friends of what not to do in a relationship. Because, you could be so much nicer. It does not hurt your mouth, to be nice to people. And especially the person that you're in love with, the mother of your children. But my dad had no filter in that sense. And, I remember him talking before, later, after the divorce. He goes, yeah, I didn't like having to divorce your mom. And then I wanted to point out to him right away, well, you didn't divorce mom. Mom divorced you. He goes, well, you're right. He goes, you're right. And so I said, I thought you might be mad at me because I was helping mom out with the divorce against you. And might as well just get it out there. He knew that anyway. He goes, nope. He goes, I raised you to always look out for your mother, and I'm really glad that you did. He goes, I've had a lot of failures in my life, just about the way I talk to people, and I'm really trying to make an effort to be a gentler person. And with my relatives, when they would say, oh my God, your dad is so nice, I would say, I don't even know who that guy is. I mean, that was not my dad. My dad was very, very tough to grow up. A U.S. Marine for over 20 years. He was just very, very tough guy to grow up with. But he did instill a lot of my values and a lot of my decisions too. I did use him a lot of times as an example of what not to do in a relationship. And it served me well because, when he was younger and my mom was younger, they would argue quite a bit. And I just got to the point, if you just were just a little bit nicer to mom, maybe you wouldn't have got divorced. Maybe she would have made you happy. So the point of this whole thing is just to remember that you can get a lot of happiness and you can get everything you want in life if your mission is to help other people get what they want. You have to figure out what they want, and then you have to try to help them. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about power. I'm talking about just being nice to people and listening to what they have to say. Because everybody has a story, and it's important to remember that their story is not your story. So thank you very much for stopping in. I'm sure glad you found me. I hope you can subscribe if you like the videos, and I always promise I will try to get better in the future. So thank you very much, and have a great day.